the power of joy, and now not only our joy of how even the Baal Shem Tov learned the lesson of how to be joyful. After Yom Kippur, the tradition is to say Kiddush Levana, to bless the moon, right? It's not. You don't have to do it then. It's a minute. What happens? Let's say if it's a cloudy night, you do it the night or two later. You have a few more days to do it. But right, one year, the Baal Shem Tov felt that there was a great ominous power of gezerah, as we say, decree, so to speak, from heaven on the Jewish on the people. And the only way to overcome it is to bless the moon right after Yom Kippur. But lo and behold, there was a very cloudy night. So Baal Shem Tov couldn't make his Levana. So he didn't go. So after the davening, he went back to his room. And he started like trying to use all of his great kavanas. It's known as Meichen de Gadlos, to use those higher psychic powers, spiritual powers, ways to make things happen, that the clouds will move, and that be able to do Kiddush Levana, because it's so important. It has to be done that night. If not, terrible things are going to happen, right? And he's there in his room and everything doing. Meanwhile, the Chassidim don't know anything about what's going on in the Baal Shem Tov's mind and heart, about all this, that there's a Gezerah above and all that. They just know that Yom Tov is over. And as we know, the minhag, especially among Chassidim, is that after Yom Kippur, you're really rejoiceful, happy that you show betach and trust that we were forgiven, and that we're coming in fresh and clean into the new year. In Chabad, they sing this march song even at the end of the Elul, Napoleon's March. It's one of my greatest memories with the Rebbe. Maybe I'll share with you when it comes around Yom Kippur time. Being right there when he would get on his chair and start dancing, singing, very, very intense and joyful at the same time. So it's a thing to be very besimcha right after Yom Kippur, and even to make a shtickle soda, meal and things. So the Chassidim don't know about all this heavenly decree stuff. It's after Yom Kippur, and they go, they're all happy. They're all so happy. They start dancing and joyful. And it goes on for a while until their joy is so pouring over the rims that they can't contain themselves, and they crash the Baal Shem Tov in his room. They come in and they start singing, and the Baal Shem Tov is meanwhile serious at the table, trying to meditating, trying to work in the higher heavens, and trying to figure out how he's going to bless the moon that night, despite it's cloudy, and maybe use this kavana, that kavana to move things in heaven. And he's going there, but the Chassidim are there. They're so dancing and singing, and then they're so joyful. The couple Chassidim are, build up the gal, the holy chutzpah, and they say, Rebbe, come dance with us. And they take the Baal Shem Tov. They start dancing with the Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, and it brings up joy and dancing till the Baal Shem Tov himself overcomes his seriousness, and he's like full of joy now and dancing. And as they're dancing like this for a while, someone runs in and he goes, guess what? The clouds parted. You could see the moon. We can make Kiddush Levana. So they all go out and do Kiddush Levana, and the Baal Shem Tov happy does it, and he makes the Kiddush Levana and all that. After this episode, the Baal Shem Tov said, what all I tried to accomplish with all of my kavanas, all my holy stuff and all this, did nothing to make this ability to Kiddush, but the simcha of the people, the joy of the people, of the Chassidim, that is what made the heavens move in this way and do it. So just to teach us the power of joy, and even things that even the Chassidim could outdo the Rebbe once in a while in this. So that's one story about the Simcha, even from the Baal Shem Tov. The other story of Simcha is a famous story. The story is that one Friday night, Baal Shem Tov's at the meal. He's eating the meal with the Chassidim, the whole thing. And he suddenly, out of the blue, he starts laughing. Okay, What? Maybe something in Baal Shem Tov's head laughed. It's out of the ordinary. Then goes a little while later, Baal Shem Tov starts laughing again. No one understands it. No one said anything to it. And then it happens a third time towards the end of the meeting. Weird, funny. Chassidim don't know what to do. Or they're perplexed. They want to know what's going on. So one of the Baal Shem Tov's main students was Zev Kitzis. Zev Kitzis. No, like it's the helper also. And Zev Kitzis was able to ask the Baal Shem Tov things that other Chassidim weren't able to because they were so close. In fact, he would go in, Mitzvah Shabbos, after Shabbos, spend some time with Baal Shem Tov. So the Chassidim asked Zev Kitzis, when you go into the Baal Shem Tov, Mitzvah Shabbos, ask the Rebbe, what was this thing of laughing 3 times Friday night? So Zev Wolf did that. He went in, and the Baal Shem Tov says, you want to know why I laughed? Okay, let's get the wagon ready. The good old story, the Baal Shem Tov Mitzvah Shabbos traveling, right, with Alexandri or Ivan, whoever was the coach driver, and the Kfitzis Aderech story, right? He would just let the lassos off for the horses, and the horses were just wandering. In this story, they travel the whole night. They wind up in the morning in the town of Koznitz. Baal Shem Tov goes up. By this is already late in the later years of the Baal Shem Tov when he was already known. So they hear in Koznitz, Baal Shem Tov is here. They give him a place to stay for the morning. Then he goes to daven Shachris, the Shul, and one of the leaders of the community of Koznitz says, Rebbe, why did you come here? He says, I came to visit. I want to see someone who lives here. His name is Shapsi Binder. By the way, back to the story. So the head of the community says, Shapsi Binder, what do you want to see him? He's just a pashut guy, an older guy. Binder means binder. He was a bookbinder. What do you want to see him for? Hashem says, don't ask any questions. I want him and his wife to come to see me. So they go to the end of the edge of town. They get Shapsi and his wife. They come and they see, Baal Shem Tov's here. Yes, Rebbe, what's up? He says, Baal Shem Tov says that Shapsi, tell me what happened, how you spent this Shabbos. What happened in your life? So Shapsi says, be honest, I'll tell you something, and I even want to ask, maybe I did something a little wrong, maybe you could help me. What happened? Shapsi started saying like this, Rebbe, I'm already middle-aged, older guy, but I still do my work, the bookbinding. But the business is not good, it hasn't been good lately. And I'm out of money. So much so, I didn't even have money. I knew I couldn't even buy anything for Shabbos. Nothing. But one thing I make sure, never to ask anyone for anything, never to borrow, never to ask. Just to trust in Hashem, regardless. Even if it means that maybe I won't have any food and I'll have to fast on Shabbos, regardless. Nothing. So Rebbe, I was there, and I was in shul for Shabbos, and I have a minhag. I go early to shul on Shabbos. I spend time, and I was like and I was so embarrassed to even walk back home with my friends, because we'll pass my house and they'll see I don't have anything. That I won't have any lichter in the window, nothing in the house as they pass by. So I lingered about in shul till my friends left. Then I walk back home, and I see the windows are open, candles lit. Look, I open the door, and I smell the most amazing aromas of fish and chicken soup, beautiful challah on the table. I can't believe it. What happened? So in the beginning, I thought maybe my wife didn't listen to me, and she went to borrow money or ask people for food, and that's how we got it. That was That was my inner thought. But I decided not to confront my wife about breaking up our agreement not to borrow or take from anyone. And I just kept it in. And I made, and I sang Shalom Aleichem, made Kiddush. And then when it came to the eating the fish, the challah fish, I asked my wife calmly, by the way, how did we have all this food? Where did we get everything from? And that's when my wife told me, don't you remember, Shapsa, years ago, we had these, like, this garment, this outer coat or something with sleeves that had fancy silver buttons on it, like the old school aristocratic, and we lost it years ago, and that we couldn't find it. Remember that coat, those sleeves to the coat from years ago? Yeah. So she says, guess what? Even though we didn't have any food or anything, I decided to clean up the house as if everything, just to make it Shabbos-tic, even if we don't have any food. And I was moving the furniture around, and I found, lo and behold, I found the sleeves in the back and behind the cabinet, and with the silver buttons on. So I cut the buttons off, and I ran over to the silversmith, and he said, wow, these are valuable. How? He gave me he paid me for it, and gives us money, gave me the money to make all this food for Shabbos, and even extra for the coming week. So, and that's how we have this. So when Shapsai heard this, and his wife, he tells about Shem, Rebbe, I became so happy for this that I held my wife and we started dancing together in Simcha, in joy. And then, after a while, then came the soup. We ate the soup, and I just couldn't hold my Simcha in again. So I held my wife, and we danced this another time. And then we had the main course, the the meat and what have you. And again, I was so overtaken by joy, I couldn't help myself, and I started dancing with my wife a third time. The Hasidim that are there with the Baal Shem Tov now understood, right? The Hasidim who traveled with Baal Shem now understood. And it was exactly that same time, so that Friday night, the 3 times that Shapsei Binder was dancing was when the Baal Shem Tov was laughing. That it created the joy reached all the way to Baal Shem Tov in Nezhebush from cousins. And so after hearing this, Baal Shem Tov says, wow, amazing Shapsei and Mrs. Binder. Which is amazing, and what great emunah of bitachon you had, that everything will work out, and your sacredness of Shabbos. Shapsei was saying, then, but Rebbe, help me, I don't know if I did the right thing dancing with my wife. And Hashem said, it was fine. Not only that, you created such joy here on earth and above. You can't imagine how much you accomplished. And in merit of this, I'm giving you the option of one of 2 brachas, either to become wealthy for the rest of your lives, or to have children, because Shapsei and his wife were already middle-aged and older, and they didn't have any children. So Mrs. Binder said, Rebbe, we're already older. What do we need all this money for, anyways? But children is what we want. I'm a child. So the Baal Shem Tov blessed them to have a son in a year, and tell them, and when you have the son, name him, call me to be the sandik for the bris, and I'll come, and give him my name of Yisrael. And so it was. A year later, the boy was born. I think the Baal Shem Tov came to the bris to be sandik, or maybe passed away already. I don't remember the exact detail. The bottom line, the son was born, and they named him Yisrael after the Baal Shem Tov. And guess who this little boy grew up to be? He became Rabbi Yisrael of Kozhnitz, known as the Kozhnitz Maggid. one of the greatest Rebbes in all of Hasidic history, the Baal Avedis Yisrael, the Holy Kazhnit Samagid, as he's known as. So that his birth was because of his parents' faith and love for Shabbos and Simcha. So to show us again the power of joy and love specifically. And that even in these times of Elul, which is supposed to be more somber times, as we were talking before about Yirat, but concomitantly, as we say in English, together simultaneously, we could also be full of joy and love. And the Hiratzin that we mamish see it right away and get to that level, joy, the Simcha of Shabbos, Mizmos Shili Shabbos. By the way, he said, as in the song, he said, "U'lechein tzadikim yiru v'yismachu," that we say Rosh Hashanah. And therefore the righteous yiru, it's actually the yira comes before the Simcha. The yira, and then the Yismachu, they be happy. So that's a beautiful reminder again of the way we're working now in Elul 2, starting with the yira and building our way to the Ava and everything. But again, all in a way of Simcha. Amen. L'chaim, l'chaim. May we all have Ksila v'chsima teva l'shana teva m'sukkah.
Amen.
Yes.
Shalema.
Thank you. Let me say yes. And that, for Shlema in all ways that. By the way, I'll just share with you something. My 8th grade teacher called me this afternoon because he found out, and so we were talking, and that it's Elul. Then he told me that he heard recently there's a prominent Rebbitzin in Crown Heights. Her name is Rebbitzin Esther Sternberg. She's the granddaughter of the Kapitchitzer Rebbe. Her mother was Chava Gerari, who was the daughter of the Kapitchitzer Rebbe, the old Kapitchitzer Rebbe. And she was very close to the Rebbe's household. She used to help the Rebbitzin and very involved. She was the lady that during Sunday dollars, when they would go by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, she would be the one making sure the line moved, and she was always there. So at one point, years ago, she wasn't well, and she wound up in the hospital. And it was this time of year. So I think her father wrote in to the Rebbe for a brach, or spoke to the Rebbe about it. And so the Rebbe's response was that the Melech B'Sada that we say in Elul now, the Melech is in the field, the king is in the field. The Sada applies also to Cornell Hospital, where she was. That's the Sada. The king, in other words, the king in the field is not only for all the good stuff inspired, but even for things that to have the royal physician in the house, so to speak, in the field. So thank you. May Taka be refuah, Shleima Kreva, in all ways. There's refuah guf, there's refuah nefesh that we could all use. So may Mamish see it manifested literally speedily. And again, I want to thank everyone for being here and tuning in. The magic and the power of the collective, the tzibur here, does its amazingness. So thank you, Chevra.